I'm the big man, attorney Joey Franks, Big Man Law here in Jackson, Mississippi. And today we are up with Judge Middleton, and we're actually going to cover 3 hearings. So you get a bit of a bonus here. It's probably the longest one we've done. So be prepared for that, just a heads up. But we're going to start off with the plea hearing.
This is file number 23106SM. People versus Aaron Lewis Brown. And I've known Mr. Brown since he was in about 8th grade. The file number is 22. This means this happened in 2022. Joining us here, Mr. Brown, is Mr. Keith Stickley. He's the Chief Public Defender for St. Joseph County. I saw this morning when I got in and looked at the jail roster that you had been picked up last night. And your lawyer is Luke Knopfsinger. And he was here this morning, but apparently the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. They could have dealt with this morning, but they didn't. The matter is assigned to Judge Pattison. He's the one that issued the bench warrant for your arrest. And he is caught up in a difficult domestic relations trial, so he asked me to address this. So let's start at square one here. You were charged back in 2022 with a domestic assault on your mother, Anita Green. And that warrant was issued in 2022. You got arrested, you posted a bond. Attorney Knopfsinger was appointed to represent you. They had a pretrial, you continued your plea of not guilty, and they set a final pretrial before jury, which was set for January 19th of 2023. You failed to appear, and Judge Pattison issued a bench warrant for your arrest. And as I indicated, your lawyer, Luke, was here this morning, and even I dealt with him this morning. If I'd known about it, I could have, I guess, addressed it. Anyway, I knew this warrant was out there. Last year, I had downloaded every unserved domestic violence warrant, and there were a lot of them. Many of them have been either dismissed or finally served. I guess the question I want to ask right now is, how did you get arrested last night?
Okay. First of all, that wasn't my mother. That was her name is Anita Green, with those allegations that I allegedly struck her. My mother
is that your aunt?
She's my mother's twin sister, but my mother Lisa passed away.
All right. I went to your mother's funeral.
Yes, Lisa's my mother.
So, all right. I'm sorry. So this is your aunt Anita. All right, I got it backwards.
Unfortunately.
All right, so the complainant is your aunt. All right, so let's not get into the facts so much, but you didn't show up back in January of 23, and Judge Pattison issued the bench warrant. So he set the bond at $2,000 cash or surety. How did you get arrested last night?
So I was up in Trotter. I got date raped before I came back up to Michigan, and that's when all that happened at Anita's house. So I ended up going up to Trotter Ministry back in February 1st. So before that, I went to my court date, met with Luke in November of 2022. It was either right before Thanksgiving or right after Thanksgiving. And when I talked to him, I said, "When is my next court date?" He said, "I don't have one for you." His exact words that I do not have one for you, but I will be in contact with you at some point. I said, okay. I still have an address down in Florida, and I do travel quite a bit. And so do you have like
Well,
a specific
the
time or
address
place?
they had listed is 314 West Broadway, and that's your aunt's house, correct?
Correct, that's not my address.
All right. Well, let's go back to my original question. How'd you get arrested last night?
Okay, so I got arrested Tuesday in Grand Rapids.
All right. You're missing art prize.
The what?
You're missing art prize.
What's Art Prize?
Oh, it's that big art festival they have in Grand Rapids every other year.
I'm an artist. I would love to go to something like that, but since this is taking up my time with false
All right,
allegations,
well, I'm still trying to figure this out. So were you at Mel Trotter in Grand Rapids this week?
yes, I've been staying up at Mel Trotter trying to get out of Michigan for the last year and a half. And due to some manipulation and human trafficking and some other stuff, I went to go fill out a police report that has been basically some people raped me back in when I was in high school. And so nothing has been done about that. There's been decapitated heads that were in me and my mom's houses. People cut these people's heads off. They put them in our houses, and we tried filling out a police report and stuff like that. Members of Palco, which is a fabrication company, they're like chopping up bodies and everything. It's all, I know the people who did it. So your question is, how did I get arrested? I go to One Monroe Center on Tuesday morning to fill out a police report, and they said I had a warrant for my arrest for missing a court date. Mind you, 2 weeks ago, I had some officers come in, Deputy Cedric Wyrick and his sister Katie Wyrick, which I know very well. They came and talked to me about just doing some counseling and stuff because I was poisoned. I was telling them what was going on in my life and that I need my inheritance that my mother left me. So they flat out told me, you do not have any warrants, because there was some stuff that happened in Florida and in RJ's that I got arrested for no reason. And so I was under the impression I had 2 warrants for false arrest. I can get into that if you would like me to after I get done with this. Just let me talk for just a second.
Aaron, I'm just trying to figure out what to do bond-wise. Unfortunately, they didn't address this morning when your lawyer was here. So Mr. Stickley is the chief public defender. He doesn't know any of the details of the case. He's just to make sure that your rights are protected here at this hearing. So your residence is presently Mel Trotter Ministries?
I was staying up there so I can get back down to Florida, but my current address is 16522 Brigadoon Drive down in Tampa, Florida. I came up here because I had to get my inheritance, and I'm looking for my money that my mother left me, which is probably $12 billion. And so
I know your mom. She wasn't that rich.
Wealthy. We don't like saying rich, but wealthy.
Okay, Aaron, are you getting any mental health treatment? Are you seeing anybody at CMA at Kent County?
Yes, I went to go see not Azariah, Uriah. We had a counseling meeting 2 different times. I went and seen Godfrey up at Mount Charter Ministry 2 different times, and they passed me and said I was good to go.
Are you on any medication?
No, just water.
All right, well, we need to get this case back on track. Right now, you're living in a ministry shelter kind of place. Mel Trotter's been around for years and years.
Yeah.
Your address is Tampa. I'm going to reset this, the final pretrial, for next Thursday, which would be September.
Address as well. Is she, because it was on video that she straight up said, I lied on this police report. So I don't know if they had it.
I don't know any of that stuff, Mr. Brown. I know your
Yeah,
aunts,
she's
I know your
off this
brothers,
board.
I know your cousins, your grandma, your grandpa. But you're not in the greatest of shape right now. I'm gonna reset this for next Thursday at 1 o'clock with Attorney Luke Knopfinger. And I'm gonna leave the bond as Judge Pattison said it. $2,000 cash or surety. Are you in contact with any of your family down here?
My grandmother, I have to take care of my grandmother. So I came back up here to take care of her and get her out of this disastrous living situation that she doesn't like and I don't either.
Well, then set it in front of me at 2 o'clock. Judge Pattison won't be here next week, and I don't want you to sit here for 2 weeks till we resolve this. I'll set it
I
in
was
front of
just gonna
me.
go over to Keystone.
Well, Aaron, Mr. Brown, I'm not comfortable with you just being homeless out here in the county. I'm setting this as soon as I can, which is next Thursday. Oh, here's Luke right now.
Judge, I was in the. attorney
Bless
lounge.
you.
I heard this. Yeah, so I get the sense you want to set it for sometime next week.
Yes, go ahead. Aaron, your attorney, Mr. Knopfinger, just came in to join us. He heard this, he was in the building. And I'll set this as soon as he's available, although we have to consider the prosecutor too. Judge P is not available next week, Thursday, Friday. I don't remember what the deal is, but I can do it with Thursday final pretrials at 2.
Okay, and I can, if you take the case, I can make it work on Thursday, Friday. I also would have some time Wednesday morning too, so I could coordinate with Judge Pattison or.
Well, I don't know when Judge Pattison is leaving, but we also the prosecutor's gotta give victim notice and, I see your aunt around. I think she still works at CMH.
I do not talk to that woman at all. I have nothing to say about her. I don't talk to her. I have said my piece. I haven't talked to her since I left there in handcuffs and didn't want to stay there in the first place because that house needs to be condemned. The city needs to take it from them, I think. But I don't talk to that woman. I do not like her. I don't like her husband. I don't like her son.
All right, well, I'll leave it at that. Boy, I'm not good Wednesday, Luke. So let's just leave it now for Thursday at 2. I'm gonna ask Lisa Iantelli, who's our mental health liaison, to meet with you, Aaron, see what the deal is, and see if you need some further treatment or some medication or what. The prosecutor needs to get time to get a hold of your aunt and see what her position is on this. Maybe they just want the whole thing to be over with. But for now, I'm gonna leave you right where you are. Come on in. Mr. Knopfinger is gonna be available then, and I will see if I can get someone from mental health to talk with you.
Okay, I really just need my finances because I have my eyes on a $13.1 million house that my mother is trying to gift me with what she left me with my grandfather, my inheritance, my trust fund, and somehow it's nowhere to be found from after it was placed in Greenleaf. So that really upsets me.
Well, I imagine so. Where is this house?
Lake Tahoe, Tahoe City, California.
Well, okay. I don't think we have a house in St. Joe County that's worth $13.1 million. All right, Mr. Brown, I'm gonna ask Lisa from mental health to come meet with you. And I would rather I didn't have this case since I know everybody, but I know everybody anyway, so I don't know what the difference is. So I'll be seeing you next week, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stickley.
Tell the family I said hi.
Okay.
All right, so this is an interesting hearing in the sense that he's there to enter his plea, and he ultimately does enter his plea, but he certainly says some stuff that throws a red flag, like he's got a $12 billion inheritance. And judge is concerned about his mental health. He knows the kid. He's known him for most of his life. He went to his mama's funeral. And it's a domestic violence case between this guy and his aunt. So he said, I've got some financial issues going on. I'm trying to get the inheritance together. And, mom's got a $13.1 million house. And Judge Middleton just goes, there's no $13.1 million houses in this community. He takes his plea, but he leaves him there for the sentencing hearing. And he's trying to get him some mental health because what he says just doesn't make a lot of sense. But in all fairness to this guy, if I am worth $12 billion in my head, leave me alone. That's a happy damn place.
Hello, Mr. Brown.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Have a seat. I don't know if you got taller since the last time I saw you, or I got shorter. But
You mentioned the same thing. I don't know where I'm getting this height from.
He says he's 6'3". He's not 6'3", Judge. He's not.
no, I think add a couple inches. Anyway, this is People versus Aaron Lewis Brown. The file number, this matter is almost 3 years old, or 2 years old. It's alleged to have occurred in October of 2022. Mr. Brown is charged with domestic assault against his aunt, Anita Green, his mother's sister. Mr. Brown has been out of the county. I think he told me he was in Florida, and then he'd been living in Grand Rapids. We did an arraignment last week, and thank you, Luke. I set this on a short turnaround because Mr. Brown was going to be unable to post his bond. I think I saw him last Friday. Judge Pattison was gone, and he's gone again today. Anyway, Mr. Rognus then got involved in the case. He wasn't with the office at the time this was authorized, and I believe has talked to the complainant. Aaron, this is a question of we don't exactly know what to do here. You don't live here in St. Joe County anymore. You don't want to live here. You plan to either, from what you told me, go back to Grand Rapids or go back to Tampa. The case is 2 years old. You've been in jail now for seven days, plus the days you did at the front end, which I think makes 9 days total. After I talked to you, I sent a letter to Lisa Iantelli. Did anyone from the jail come see you?
No, they did not.
Well, the problem is she's leaving, and maybe she's already gone. Last Friday, I asked somebody to come see you and see what your situation was with treatment and medications, and her last day was September 30th. I sent her an email on Friday the 20th. Well, I'm disappointed. Anyway, Mr. Knopfinger, what's your position here?
Judge, Mr. Brown is prepared to make a no contest admission. Agree with the court has said already in terms of the case posture. Mr. Brown is not amenable to a term of probation. I'll add.
All right. Mr. Brown, let's talk about this. Domestic assault is a misdemeanor. It's punishable by up to 93 days in jail and a fine of up to $500. There is a kind of probation would allow you to have this charge taken off your record. But according to what your lawyer says, you don't wish to do a probation. by pleading no contest to the charge, you don't admit what happened. You also don't deny what happened, and you would allow or accept that a conviction would enter. You understand?
Yes.
Anybody threaten you to get you to plead to this charge?
Not to, no,
Like me or the lawyer or the prosecutor, anybody?
no,
Anybody promise you anything?
no.
All right, let's take a look at the factual basis. It's alleged that where was this? The house on Broadway?
Yes.
Brown being, the incident occurred 314 West Broadway. He had been living since January. Hit her on the side of the face with your arm, shed swelling, pushed her down, and abrasion on her left hand. And then apparently you left the scene. Did you get arrested right that night or did they arrest you later?
Right there,
All right. And where'd you go when you got out of jail?
to Keystone,
All right. And then where'd you go from Keystone?
to Mel Trotter.
And you've been at Mel Trotter since?
Yes, I can't get a hold of my social group that I work with for some odd reason, but I do have some people that are interfering with my life as well. So I consider them stalkers. I have filed a police report in Grand Rapids about.
Well, at Mel Trotter, do you live like in a group living situation?
It's like there's an emergency shelter, and then if you seek like housing and jobs and stuff, you can get upstairs. I got upstairs to the second floor where I had like that orange lanyard, what they call it. And
Do you have your own apartment or you share with other people?
there is a suite
Okay.
that you share with one other person with a bathroom and like some drawers.
Well, I am concerned. I don't want you to lose your housing. If they held this place for you, if you go back to Mel Trotter, will you have your place back?
No, I need to get into a house that my mother built, and I also have been looking at property out in California, but I need to recover my inheritance that she left me.
Well, and you talked about that. And that was, I don't think that that is true. You said your mother had a house worth several $billion. And as I wasn't just joking, I knew your mother and I knew the Brown family and the Hunt family, and there's no $1 million fortune somewhere. So I'm concerned about what happens when I let you out, that you're gonna have a place to go to. It took you probably months to get that suite at Mel Trotter, didn't it?
Yes, and they are they take a while doing stuff like that for sure. I don't know if it's because they're surrounded by people that have been kidnapped up there, or if it's.
Do you get Social Security?
No.
Do you have any source of income?
No, I had like I said, my mother's inheritance that she left me, Jaza Newberry, and her father stole hundreds of thousands of dollars from me and stole the house that was left in my name. And that is.
Where was that house?
Greenfield Court. Over off of Coon Hollow?
Yes, I remember.
Right next to House Stouffer.
Who's in that house now?
Far as I know, a bunch of dead bodies.
But it still belonged to the Brown family?
No, Robert Jess sold it and moved to Palmer.
Robert.
Jess Evans, her.
Oh, Jess. That'd be her husband.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but he's quite ill, I understand.
I don't contact those people. They're in that Palco anatomy organization processing bodies, and I do not want anything to do with it.
All right. So let's go to square one. If you're released right now, today, where would you go?
My grandmother's house.
which is where?
May Ruth Brown.
Well, I know May Brown. Your grandfather's Rochester.
Yes, sir.
He passed away.
Unfortunate.
And where does May live?
Haynes Road.
Who's with her?
I told my uncle Gary Brown to stay with her because Ricky Martin, who he goes by Ricky Brown, but that is not his father, is a nutcase, and he's raped me and my grandmother before, and he has stolen money from me. So I told him to not go out there, and that's just that.
So is your Uncle Gary living there with your grandma?
I think he's looking after her, but I haven't talked to her. I told her I keep in touch with her. So when I leave here, I just usually, when I come into town, I just go out there. When I came into town when was it, 2 years ago, she had COVID, so I didn't go out there right away. Instead, I had an apartment, not an apartment, a hotel at the Best Value Inn for 3 months through Keystone because she wasn't feeling too well, so I just went there instead. But I just recently talked to her 2 weeks ago. And I was also advised by Joe Biden to come up here as well. The 46th president of the United States of America.
All right. And those are the kind of things that trouble me, Aaron. I think you understand what a trial is about, what your lawyer's function is, and what my function is, the prosecutor's function. And I believe your plea of no contest was knowing and voluntarily. And I believe that you're competent, but you have a bunch of delusional thinking that troubles me. And I'm not unwilling to let you out. You don't want to do a probation, but I want some sort of a plan. I don't want to just have you standing on the doorstep at the jail with nowhere to go and no money in your pocket.
I was trying to get a hold of Mark Lillywhite. He's the close confidant. He's a close relative of mine, former sheriff.
Yeah, well, he actually is still the sheriff. He won't be at the end of the year, but Luke, you're here Monday anyway. I asked Lisa for some help. I'm going to ask her again. I'm going to set this for a sentence for Monday, September 30th. At 11. Well, let's set it for 10:30. I'm gonna try to get some help from the mental health advocate at the jail for simple things like getting you a ride from there to your grandmother's, or I don't know whether your grandmother is willing to accept you. I thought she was in very poor health last I heard.
She had a heart attack. I did as well. I've had like 3 different heart attacks from I don't even know what, but there was a point where she wasn't feeling too well, and I take care of her. I mean, kind of why I know I told you that I probably was going to go back down to Florida or California.
Yeah.
I was looking out there, but wherever I go, she's coming with me. But for right now, I do think it's best that I stay in Michigan for a little bit longer.
But that's unreal. You have no money and no source of income.
No, and I can't stand it.
Yes. Have you ever applied for Social Security disability?
I have not.
I think you would be eligible for some disability, but that's a separate matter. All right. We'll take another crack at this next Monday morning at 10:30. And do you have any contact with your brothers?
Jason is the only sibling I talk to. I don't talk to Jocelyn. She's a mass murderer. She has confessed to killing over 700 people and processing their bodies. She has confessed it with me and Rebecca Ivins and the two other people. So I just do
No, that's the kind of stuff that troubles me. I know your sister Jocelyn. She hasn't killed 700 people. I know your twin brothers, Jason and Jordan. And so that kind of stuff is troubling to me. But this is in the context of a domestic assault plea. All right. We'll take another crack at this Monday, September 30th at 10:30. See if we can get a
she's
plan.
involved as well.
What's that?
Anita Green, she's involved with that woman, Jocelyn Evans, as well. So I do not associate myself with these people. So that's why.
All right. You're good to go. I'll see you Monday.
All right, so we're at the sentencing hearing, and judge is trying to sentence him, but this guy just keeps saying some weird stuff. He seems like a nice enough guy. He's out in left field on something. He says Joe Biden sent him, and some debate whether or not Biden knows where he is, and some debate whether or not Trump knows where he is. So either one of them sent you, probably got some problems. But in any event, and when I say Judge Middleton is trying to work it out with this guy. He's trying to get him some help. He doesn't want to just leave him lingering. He's been in jail some, what was it, 9 days? Yeah, it was 9 days is what I put in the notes here. So he's starting to accrue time in jail already. And Judge doesn't want him to be just left there, but he doesn't want to just drop him off at the front stoop of the jail. He keeps repeating that over and over and over. So Judge wants him to meet with mental health, wants him to get an evaluation, see what's going on, see what needs to be done for him, and then he is going to make a decision. So he kicks the can down the road just a little bit to this week, actually. And that's where we're going to pick up next.
Morning, Mr. Brown. This is People versus Aaron Lewis Brown. The file number is 222106SM. Mr. Brown is here with his attorney, Mr. Luke Knopfinger. Also present is Mr. Keith Stickley, the Chief Public Defender. Also, the complaining witness, Anita Green, is present, which I'm glad that she's here. Mr. Brown pled no contest to a domestic violence charge last week. I had some concerns about his mental state, but I did not feel that he was incompetent. I think he knows what the proceeding is. He knows what the charge is. He knows what the function of the lawyer and the judge is. And he entered a plea of no contest to bring resolution to this matter. So I accepted the plea. The question is, what to do with them. I sent an email to Covered Bridge Services, who was providing mental health services at the jail till today. Pivotal Community Mental Health for St. Joseph County takes over with those services tomorrow, October 1st. I sent a second email asking for some help and recommendation, and nobody ever responded. So I think we're between the previous service provider and the new service provider. Mr. Brown, we had a couple of long discussions. You were at Mel Trotter Ministries. You had your own apartment. You had your life in Grand Rapids. And then you got picked up and brought down here on this 2-year-old charge. Right now, you have no source of income, nowhere to go. You've lost your placement at Mel Trotter. And in my opinion, you could greatly benefit from some mental health services. You had indicated that you would like to go to your grandmother's house, and we discussed that. I know who your grandma is. I knew who your grandpa was. I don't think that's a good idea. In fact, I don't think your grandma wants you to go there. What I didn't want to do is dump you out on the front steps of a jailhouse with nowhere to go and no plan. Well, I haven't received any feedback from Covered Bridge, and Pivotal starts tomorrow. Having said all that, and I don't have any input from the prosecutor. Mr. Knopfinger, I'll defer to you. What's your position here?
Thanks, Judge. Mr. Brown has pretty considerable jail credit. I would note that the offense is October of 2022. He hasn't had any pending charges since then. Asked the court to consider that. I do appreciate the court sort of considering Mr. Brown's where will he go once he walks out of jail. But I do think that he should be let out of jail, not because he shouldn't have to explain where he's going to go to get out of jail. I do appreciate the court's concern. But all things considered, Judge, I do think that time served would be appropriate here. I understand he had mentioned that he'd like to go to his grandmother's house. It was an email exchange saying, no, you're unwelcome there. I understand he has mental health issues. I agree with the court that he's competent. I agree there's some underlying issues. I would ask the court to sentence to time served. He'll have to find his way. He understands that. Yet I do appreciate the court's attempt to address maybe some underlying issues. Again, I note this is from October 2022.
The complaining witness, Anita Green, is present. Ms. Green, would you have a seat right up here? Good morning.
Morning.
You're Anita Green,
Yes.
and Aaron's mother was your twin sister,
Yes.
and his grandmother that he's referring to is your mother.
Right.
And the Green kids and the Evans and the Brown kids were all like this. Your kids all grew up together.
Yes.
And so you've known Aaron since he was born. And I know you have some concerns about this. What would you like me to know?
I just like you to know that Aaron, Aaron was my baby. I mean, I kept him a lot. I would rescue him from his parent. He lived with me for several years. And then all of a sudden he went to Florida and I don't know what happened down there, but I don't know if he just started acting really weird. Calling. Then I find out they got a hold of one of my credit cards and he maxed that out and he was homeless. So somebody brought him back to Three Rivers and just dumped him off at my house after I told him he couldn't stay at my house. But my husband and I said, well, he don't have anywhere to go. It's wintertime. We'll let him stay. He stole from me. He was very disrespectful to me. He called the police on me almost every day while I was at work, trying to get me arrested.
Now, you're a nurse, correct?
No, I used to work at the hospital in the emergency room. Okay. Now I work at the receptionist at the wound clinic.
Okay.
And then one night I asked him to do something, he didn't do it, and he just got abusive with me, just like.
Well, so that's sort of water under the bridge. The question is, what do we do now?
I don't know. Aaron can't come to my house. Aaron cannot come to my mom's house. My mom's a nervous wreck. What I would like to see for Aaron is to be in some kind of group home, get his meds straight, try to get himself together because he has no one. His other side of the family doesn't want to be bothered with him.
Yeah, he's got some brothers, and they don't want to do anything with him.
No, he's totally humiliated his sister. He called her job and made a big old saying she's sex trafficking her kids and all this, that, and the other. And so he's burnt that bridge. He's burned his bridge with my brother in Atlanta. He has nowhere to go around here. Nowhere. No one will take him because he's so unpredictable and bizarre.
Well, he's not evil. And he's got a kind heart.
He does.
He has a mental illness.
Yes, he does. And I understand that.
All right. Aaron, what's your position here? Aaron, you got anything you want to say to me? Well, you were are you uncomfortable talking with your aunt here? You just don't have anything else you want to say?
I've informed him too that his Fifth Amendment continues to the rent.
All right, well, let me ask this. Where would you like to go? All right, well, all right. As I indicated, Covered Bridge stops today. Pivotal starts tomorrow. And Luke, I appreciate your position. You're representing the defendant. But I've got to look at the broader picture. Let's see how much credit Aaron actually has. I think he had a couple days in Kalamazoo. Boy, they don't do their alphabetical very well. Joshua Brown, Matthew Brown, Aaron Brown. You've been in our jail for 11 days and a couple days in Grand Rapids. How long were you in Grand Rapids? 2 days? That sound right? All right. Well, Aaron, I liked it better when you were talking to me, but we had some pretty good discussions, but I am worried about you. I'm going to put you on probation with really not a lot of conditions, but the probation allows me to amend the sentence. I'm going to order 60 days jail credit.
Judge, I don't think Mr. Brown wants to be on probation.
I don't care.
I would object, Judge. I do believe case law says that a defendant has to consent to a term of probation.
I can't alter the sentence unless I place him on probation.
Understand.
And what I'm looking for is a placement for him. And if they have a placement, then I can amend the sentence, but you object. So I'm going to give him 60 days in jail credit, 13, without the ability to amend it. So I'm not doing a probation. Otherwise, if Pivotal found a place for him next week, I could change the sentence and let him out. Now he's going to do 60 days minus good time, which is 50 days. And waive the fine and costs. $125 of costs.
Judge, I really was hoping, I don't really want to get too litigious here. I understand the court's position. I hope that Mr. Brown gets the help that he needs. I don't think that given his circumstances that an extended jail stay from an incident back in October of 2022, whether or not 60 days in the county jail sort of fit the crime, so to speak. I would also ask the court to maybe defer to the complainant as well if it's going to render a sentence like that. It is up to Mr. Brown whether or not he wants to do a term of probation. And quite frankly, Judge, I don't know if the facts here, every case is separate, but I don't know if the facts here taken would render a 60-day jail stay appropriate, especially given Mr. Brown's mental health condition.
Yes.
When Aaron is out of jail, Aaron self-medicates. He drinks and he smokes weed and he gets mean.
All right. Thank you. I tried to give myself the option to let him out as early as Friday into a group home, but he doesn't object to being on probation. I had 60 days at the outset with the hope that I'd get him out of here by the end of the week, but you object to probation, so I can't amend the sentence. Aaron, if you'll answer this, would you allow me to place you on probation so I can see whether I can find a placement for you?
There is a placement that my mother has built for me in Vicksburg that I can stay at.
All right, will you allow me to put you on probation to explore that? Yes, all right. I'm gonna do a 12-month probation, 60 days jail, credit 13. Fine is 0. There's a $75 crime victims' rights fee and a $50 state minimum fee. Pivotal starts tomorrow as our jail liaison. I'm gonna get with the new lady, Stacy Linehan, and see if I can figure out where to go. But I can't alter the sentence, Ms. Green, unless it's on probation. So otherwise, once I order it, it's just it. Mr. Knopfinger, again, is looking forward in representing the defendant's interests, but I don't think it's even in his best interest to him to be out standing on the front steps of the jail at noon today with nowhere to go and not a penny in his pocket. So I want something. Also, Aaron, I would think that you would be eligible for Social Security disability, which would give you some income. Right now, you just have nothing. And perhaps we could pursue that also. Anyway, the fine is $125 or 2 days. I'm gonna call Pivotal today and ask them to meet with you and see if we can figure out a place for you to go. You don't have an evil heart. You are a kind, generous kid who now, as happens sometimes with young men, gets schizophrenia in their 20s. And it turns their world upside down. But I'm going to remit you back to the sheriff. I'm going to try to find a place to put him. Ms. Green, I suggest if you want to know more, you check in with a victim advocate at the prosecutor's office. All right, thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, this is a second sentencing hearing is what it ultimately is. This guy, they're trying to get him some help. They're trying to get him lined out. Judge doesn't want to just cut him loose. And at first, he doesn't want to agree to probation. His attorney, in fact, objects to it and says there's case law out there where you can't put somebody on probation if they don't agree to it. And judge is all right. Well, we'll put him in jail for 60 days and give him credit for the time served. Well, eventually they come around to let's do probation. And the reason, apparently there's some rule up there that if he's on probation, the judge can do something about it. If he's not on probation, there's not a lot the judge can do about it. What I suspect that has to do with is the jurisdiction of the court. Once they cut him loose and say this is it and the order becomes final after a period of time, then ding, there's nothing they can do with it. That's what I suspect. Feel free to put something in the comments if you would like, and also give us a like and subscribe if you are still here. Kudos, this was a long one. We normally don't dig them up like this, but it was all three just bam, bam, bam. So it was really kind of cool to give it to you. So we always get people asking, can you please follow up on it? Well, there you go. We've given you the full movie. There's no point in seeing Godfather 1, 2, and 3. We put them all together just for you. Hope you enjoyed it. I had a blast.